Welcome to ENT student. Now we are continuing the discussion. So, what are the points you are able to see over here? What are these?
The hairs of vestibular organs.
So these are the end organs which perceive the movements. Is it or not? So what is this particular single one which is bigger and thicker?
Kinocilium.
Kinocilium. Okay. What are the small things that are there?
Stereocilium.
Stereocilium. Okay. So when they move together, they go towards and then they go towards and then go for the depolarization, hyperpolarization cycles, and then they go for potassium and also calcium release. So these are the important points that one should know. What is the shape of this cell?
Flask shape.
So outer hair cells or type 1 hair cells are flask shaped. Inner hair cells or type 1 hair cells are flask shaped. So what is the shape here? Flask shaped. So what is the specialty here? So this covering is present all over. Okay. When anybody asks you the differentiation, the covering is present all over. What is this type?
Type 2.
Type 2, especially what is this?
Cylindrical
Hair cells. So the difference between these two is the nerve chalice is completely surrounding like a sheath. Here the terminals are only down, they are not all around. Okay, this is called as nerve chalice. So what is this? Cup-like nerve terminal. So what are the other cells called as? These are the supporting cells that are there. So normally if you take, for example, so in saccule or utricle or this cochlea, etc. So when you take the saccule, so you could say, so it is almost like saccule is like this and then utricle is like this. Okay. So saccule and utricle, cochlea, saccule, utricle and semicircular canals. So you could easily think that saccule helps in vertical acceleration and deceleration. So the hair cells are like this in this plane. This is for the saccule, and utricle is in the horizontal plane. When you are moving in a car, for example, you are moving in a car, you will be perceiving this. And you are moving in a lift, up and down, you will be perceiving this. And saccule also helps for listening some sounds, and it is helpful for one investigation called as VEMP, vestibular evoked myogenic potential. That is very important. They might be asking you sometimes. Okay, that will be testing the saccule. That you should be keeping in mind. Next,
macular otolith organs.
so what is the otolith organ of utricle and saccule called as? So name is something most important is the macula. You should be keeping in mind about this macula. So once again, what are the types of cells you are able to see over here?
Type 1 and type 2 hair cells.
Loudly.
And supporting cells.
Type 1 and type 2 hair cells and
Supporting
cells. Okay, these are the supporting cells and these are the cylindrical type 2 cells and then flask shaped type 1 hair cells. So we are able to see here. So chalice is completely all around surrounding like this, and here the nerve terminals are like this. So what are this sand grain like or this organs called as otoliths. So they are like the stones that are there floating. Imagine that lotus are there. Okay. So they will be like this. So what are the other things that are present in this?
Gelatinous substance and subcupular meshwork.
So this is a gelatinous substance and cupular meshwork, subcupular meshwork. So these stones are called as otoliths. So these are responsible for generating a potential in this particular cells. When some movement is there like this, these otoliths move and then this particular gelatinous substance this also moves, and with this there is some amount of nerve impulse generation. Okay. So this is how the otolithic function will be there. Next, what is this picture about?
Fundus of right internal auditory canal.
Internal auditory canal. So what are the structures that you are able to see here? So what is that horizontal one? Vista falciformis. This is just like you could see that sickle shaped one which is separating this one and this one. So what is the vertical thing that is there? That is called as, what is that called as?
Bill's
guard. Okay. So imagine this is the anterior and this is the posterior. Okay. So what are the things that are there? So what is this cross section all about? This cross section is all about the
internal auditory canal.
So it is seen from the internal auditory canal. What are the nerves that are present in this? Then Seventh is the,
Facial nerve.
then this one, superior vestibular
Superior
nerve.
vestibular nerve.
Okay, next is inferior vestibular nerve.
Vestibular.
What is this one called as?
Bilzberg.
Bilzberg, as you have seen. So this is Christa falciformis. Okay, so seventh one is the seventh cranial nerve, as you know, and this one is the cochlear nerve. So how do you remember that? This is 7 up and this is coke down. Okay, just simply remember like this: 7 up and coke down, and superior vestibular nerve and inferior vestibular nerve. So through this, all these nerves travel. So normally these three are the things that are related to the vestibulocochlear nerve. Is it or not? The seventh one is also taking part along with this. Okay. So this is tractus. What is this one? Posterior inferiorly you could say.
Tractus parietis foraminosus.
Okay. What is this one?
Foramen singular.
Singular. So posterior vestibular. This one posterior canal. Okay. Singular nerve, as we have seen already. Very important. Next, what is this?
Central auditory pathways.
Auditory pathway. So I will be notifying on one thing and you should be able to read that. What is this?
Cochlea.
Cochlea. Okay. Next,
Eighth cranial nerve.
eighth cranial nerve. Okay. Next,
Cochlear nuclei.
dorsal cochlear nuclei and ventral cochlear nuclei. Okay. Cochlear nuclei that are there. So next, at the end, where is it reaching?
Auditory radiations in the subnectiform part of internal
Internal
capsule.
capsule. Where is? What is its final destination?
Auditory cortex in
Auditory
temporal lobe.
cortex. Okay. Next, what is the intermediate thing that is you are getting?
Medial geniculate body.
Medial geniculate body. So, whereas when you get the lateral geniculate body, it is related to ophthalmology. Medial geniculate body, it is related to ENT. So what is this in the middle?
Inferior colliculus.
Where is it present? In
Midbrain.
the midbrain region. Inferior colliculus is one of the most important thing. It is helping in the fifth wave of the Bera. Okay. So inferior colliculus is one of the most important thing. Whereas superior colliculus is related to what? Ophthalmology. So inferior colliculus is related to ENT. So this is
Lateral
lateral
lemniscus.
lemniscus. This is
Superior olivary nucleus.
superior alveoli complex or superior alveoli nucleus. Where is it present?
Pons.
Pons region. What is it helpful for?
Step-
Helpful for
stapedial
stapedial reflex. One of
reflex.
the important component of your stapedial reflex. So eighth cranial nerve and goes winds up there and then it is going towards the seventh cranial nerve till the level of your stapedius muscle. Stapedius muscle. Okay. And then how do you remember this pathway? Like simply E coli ME. Okay. So as you could say, this is the distal part of the eighth cranial nerve. This is the proximal part of the eighth cranial nerve. So cochlear nucleus, superior auditory complex, lateral lemniscus, inferior colliculus, okay, medial geniculate body and auditory cortex. Of which this inferior colliculus is very important. It produces the fifth wave in the Bera. So which is the most robust wave and most important for the diagnosis. What they say. Okay. These are the points that are important for you. Lest you can understand with E. coli ME. Okay. So what is that area? Hearing area. Broca's area is not hearing area. Bradman's area. Okay. 41. Escherichia gyrus. Okay. Next, what is this picture showing?
Physiology of hearing.
Okay. So what about this pathway? As I told you yesterday already, what is this pathway called as? So it is going to
Preferential pathway.
preferential pathway. You have to have the preferential pathway so that the sound waves are touching the tympanic membrane and touching the malleus incussus stapes and then going towards the scala vestibular and then going down like this and then towards the helicotrema and then going back, coming back towards the
Round window.
round window. That is the secondary tympanic membrane. So once this pathway is lost, the hearing depends upon bone conduction. Okay. As a whole, this cochlea acts as a shell, and then the vibration that is perceived by the cochlea, so that is related to your bone conduction. Okay. So that is intra-osseous conduction and osseo-tympanic type of theory that is helpful for hearing of the cochlea. So that is why whenever there is loss of ossicles, you have got, so the Weber lateralis to the worst here because the ossicular pathway is not used, it is directly using the vibration of the skull. So that is why the Weber is lateralis to that particular side. The thing you have to keep it in mind. What is this picture about?
Transformer function ratio of the middle ear.
So what is the area that you are seeing over here?
45 millimeters.
45 square millimeters. So is it the periphery that is vibrating or center that is vibrating more?
Center.
Center is wrong answer. Periphery of the tympanic membrane vibrates more than center according to Euler-Lawrence theory. Okay, there is a theory which is not needed for you people. So what is the ratio that you are having here? So lever ratio, what is that you are getting?
1.3:1.
1.3 is to 1. So this is the movement, as you have seen in the morning already. This is the movement plane. Okay. And what is the vibratory area of stepis foot plate? 3.2 square millimeters. Loudly you have to say, loudly. It's not video, you cannot listen. So transformer ratio, as you could see here, is
18:1.
18:1. So 14 into 1.3 is 18:1. Okay. So in this way, you are getting the transformer function. So what is the transformer function? Is something like a, the bigger size vibrating and the smaller size vibrating. Whatever the energy is lost. So normally the person who is inside the water cannot hear properly because of the impedance offered by the water. In the same way, the water that is there inside the cochlea, it cannot be compressed that easily. So compressibility of water is very less and air can be compressed very easily. So that is why nature has provided us with this transformer ratio, a mechanism of ossicles. Okay, transduction and then conversion of mechanical energy to what? Sound energy. Mechanical energy is converted to sound energy, so that wastage of energy is prevented. It is causing greater amplitude and lesser force, which is converted into lesser amplitude and greater force. So even with the lesser amplitude, we are having greater force. We are vibrating the cochlear fluids. Next, what is this picture about?
Ossicular coupling.
Yeah, it is called as acoustic coupling. So acoustic coupling is, that is, you are converting this sound energy into electrical energy. So at the level of your hair cells, you are converting this energy with the help of these ossicles. So this is acoustic coupling, and then this is ossicular coupling. So directly, if you are leaving a sound energy without tympanic membrane perforation, okay. So with the tympanic membrane perforation, even then also you can hear. Ossicular coupling and acoustic coupling. So acoustic coupling is nothing but your bone conduction, something related. Ossicular coupling is related to your air conduction, something related to your ossicles are vibrating. So that provides extra energy, as we have already seen. So the level of hair cells, the transduction occurs. Okay, transduction is going from one place to one type of energy to other type. So what is this?
Tonotopic gradient in copy.
Tonotopicity. So tonology means at the level of place, as you could see. So this is the basal turn of cochlea, which is having 20,000 Hz this frequency, and this is 100. So it is, as you go up and up, so lower frequency sounds are perceived like that. So generally, because of that noise-induced hearing loss, there is a dip at 4K in both air conduction and bone conduction. That is to be known. And as you go up and up, the length of the basilar membrane increases, and it is able to perceive the lower frequency sounds also. This tonotopicity is very important, and there are different theories. Weaver-Lawrence theory, that is more important for PGs. Okay, Weaver-Lawrence theory, Rutherford theory, telephone theory. These theories of hearing are very important for PGs. You should be able to tell all those theories. Okay, a mixture of all these theories, and then this von Bekesy's traveling wave theory. There is one thing called as von Bekesy's traveling wave theory. This traveling wave theory, the wave that comes here, somewhere it ends. At that, wherever the point ends, that particular frequency is perceived. So this is also important for cochlear implants, that this tonotopicity is helpful for making the cochlear implants also. So this is all about this tonotopicity. As you see, higher frequencies are represented in the basal turn and progressively lower turns towards the apex of the cochlea. So apex of the cochlea, this particular basal turn is towards the promontory. That is very important. This is towards the promontory, and this particular apex is at the level of anterosuperiorly. So if both the ears, they will be in this direction. Cochlea will be in this direction. That is to be understood. Okay. I think this ends. Thank you very much for watching ENT student about picture bits.